This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
The biggest icon in podcasting.
Welcome in, everybody, to the latest episode of Doc and Jock on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I am the Doc, John McElroon. Joining me, my guy, Adam, the Jock Strozinski. We got a good one. Michigan took on Michigan State. It was a nationally televised game. Lots of lessons. Do we have a new rivalry? Very interesting war of words between two coaches. We're going to talk about the Pistons. It's that time. Today is when you're listening to this, whether you're at the gym or you're de-thawing from this cold, frigid weather, it's the trade deadline. And I'm wondering, will the Pistons make a move? Should they make a move? I'm very curious. I know Adam's thrilled that the Red Wings got some points against Colorado. Are we back on the train with the Red Wings? We'll briefly touch on them as they now have a month off. It's like, whoa. Maybe it's needed to get some guys back. Maybe not. I'm interested. I'll also, because I know you saw, probably, I think this might be the first year you and I don't watch Tigers baseball. Why? We'll talk about it. It's crazy that it's now even more difficult to watch sports on television. I think this is where I'll draw the line, and I probably will cancel FanDuel Sports Network because of the hijinks and hilarity. You can watch sports in a variety of ways nowadays, but it's unfortunate. We'll talk about that. And then we got to have a Super Bowl preview because it's the big game. It's the Patriots and the Steelers. The hijinks and the hilarity is taking place all week long. Because let's start here. Michigan took on Michigan State, and it was billed as, a primetime matchup, the number 3 team, I believe, versus number 7 team. And look, it was a great game, but as the game went on, everybody clearly saw that Michigan's better. Their size advantage, they played so much better. They have a complementary scoring. That's the basics of what I took away from it. Michigan State has fears and a bunch of big men that wore down trying to battle Michigan. And look, I don't care about tampering. I don't care about that. I don't care if Dusty May is using the portal. Listen, any way necessary to win is what you do. And if Dusty May figured out, hey, I need to rebuild a team and get actually ballers to play, who wouldn't want that? So for the Spartan fans that got their panties in a bunch, that the Spartans aren't, they're using the portal just in the same way. Maybe they're not making the side calls, but look, in the end, it's big-time sports. And in big-time sports, you got to do big-time things. So right now, it's clear. My biggest takeaway is that Michigan is clearly the better basketball team. They got better complementary scoring. They're deeper. And yes, I think Michigan State is a top, 16, should get out of the first week of the tournament, but they don't have enough scoring, and they never have enough scoring. And in big games, it's the same kind of thing. And what sucked was it took place at the Breslin Center, and of course, as a Spartan fan, what else can I expect besides a swift kick in the nuts and then a viral photo of Michigan's head coach just chilling like he owns the place, like he's the landlord, and the Spartan fans are all booing him. He's sitting there going, you guys don't know. I'm just about to pimp slap you. And it's a cool photo. It's bravado at the highest level, and I respect it. Dusty May, I got a chance to meet him briefly at the Lions. He showed up there last year, and listen, he's got something about him. And good for Michigan. It stinks. I hope that some lessons were learned by the Spartans, at least to get them better. But it kind of sucks on my end because you realize that the Spartans are not right now in the class of the top 4 teams in college basketball. But hey, there's still opportunities to grow. And you've told me before, January and February is when the Spartans tend to swoon. They pick up their shit. They figure it out, and then in March they make a run. So let's see. It's not over yet. But man, cuz that was a good game. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a lot of fun to watch. It was very, very entertaining. And I do think that there is a bit of a class war here between Michigan and Michigan State. And I think this game kind of put it all on display. Michigan State is a very good basketball team. They are one of the top teams in the Big Ten. That being said, they don't, at least at this point, they don't have national championship pedigree. I don't believe they have Final Four pedigree. To me, Michigan has all of those things. Like you said, they have secondary scoring. If one or two guys gets bogged down, they've got other guys who can pick up the slack. They also don't get too worked up. They seemed really poised in that game, and that place was a bit of a pit. Michigan State, to me right now, feels like it's a team that can get to the Elite Eight, but I don't really know if you get past that. I don't know if you can even get past the Sweet 16. And it really does feel like it's a typical Izzo team. You've got one or two guys who might get drafted into the NBA, and then you've got a bunch of role players. So if that one guy isn't on, or if he's taken out of the game, good luck. Good luck trying to find the scoring. You better hope the defense is incredibly tight and stifling, so the offense on the other team doesn't get going and keeps you in the game. And that was kind of how Michigan State made their run in this game. It was defensively, they ended up locking down for a brief moment in time, and then Michigan was able to pull away because, like you highlighted, secondary scoring. Other guys got the ball. Other guys were able to take over parts of the game. And that's kind of the difference right now. At this moment in time, Michigan is a top 2 team in the Big Ten, and I think they are a top 4 team in all of college basketball, just the college basketball landscape. And the fun thing about this is these two teams are going to play again. And I think that's going to be a real interesting. And look, you could probably see these guys play 3 times this year when they get into the Big Ten tournament. It could be these two teams duking it out for the Big Ten championship when they get to the Big Ten tournament. But there's a little sandpaper here between Tom Izzo and Dusty May, and I love it. I think it's fantastic. Tom Izzo seems so put off and so thrown off and so agitated by Dusty May. And Dusty May does this thing where it's a little passive aggressive. He kind of feeds into it. He kind of leans into it, and he does it just enough. And then what happens is when somebody calls him on it, or when somebody challenges him on it, he does this thing where he kind of backs up. He's like, "Oh, well, I'm not really saying all that. I'm not, let your eyes be the judge," or he does that. I don't know how we term that or what we call that, but it feels a little bit like a bitch move. But it agitates the shit out of Tom Izzo. And I kind of love an agitated Izzo. I think agitated Izzo is a lot of fun. But these two coaches, obviously, something is bad in the water between them. They don't seem to like each other at all. And I think that adds to this rivalry. What did you make of the exchange of words that took place after the game between the two? There was also a brief handshake. Basically, Izzo did not want to stick around for it. Just kind of, all right, see ya, I'm out. And it just feels like these two at any point could legitimately come to blows like it was Juwan Howard on a sideline.
No, it's fun because Tom Izzo's 71 years old. So, what are you going to do? You can't. What made it worse was...
You're going to body slam an old man?
Yeah,
Good luck.
Exactly. It's on his birthday. They lost. But look, in the end, the Spartans are 2-1 against Dusty May, and look, it's going to happen. But it was a lot of years since the Wolverines won at the Breslin Center. And look, here nor there, the Spartans have to figure out their shooting. They got to figure out their opportunity to support Fears because listen, it's a tough physical game. It's a rivalry game, so there's going to be shit talking. There's going to be back and forth. And look, Tom Izzo is asked about it, and it's fun to listen to his press conferences because he gets all snarky and he's like, well, if you want some controversy, what about the timeout? What about this and what about that? And I love the fact that both of them are kind of using the media to fuel a little bit of a rivalry. That's what it should be. And
they're using the papers and television cameras to talk to each other.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And Tom Izzo's like, well, if he wants to talk about it, just call me. And look, and also, too, I think that what Tom Izzo said before the game was most important to me. He said, look, they're my rival. I'm supposed to hate my rival, but I do respect them. I respect Michigan. That's the number one thing. And so it's just a lot of poking the bear, a lot of crap talking. And I just love that Dusty May was just like, I'm not going to miss the opportunity to sit in the Breslin, absorb the heat. And he kind of liked it. That's what you kind of like in sports, is somebody that's like, I know what's coming. They were chanting F you, Dusty, right in his face, and he's sitting there soaking it all in, going, yeah, this is a rivalry. This is pretty sweet. Probably so much different than what he was experiencing in Florida. And he's like, all right. And I think he knew that he had the team to compete, especially on the heels of a win against Nebraska. So good on Michigan. I think that it's going to be a fun March tournament, and I'm excited for it. That's what it's supposed to be, a heated rivalry. Nobody likes each other. But listen, I'm not going to upset any Lions fans, but first and foremost, I want to say this. I had to change my pants a little bit seeing Dan Campbell in a green Spartan hat, but I will say part of me did say, wait a minute, Dan Campbell's there? Shit, this is probably not good news for the Spartans. And I said, no. I said, the Lions jinx is going to hurt my Spartans. I thought it, but in all honesty, look, he's got a kid there. We've all seen the viral video of him trying to get her beanbag out of a couch in East Lansing. So it's cool that he donned the Michigan State gear, met Tom Izzo, and sat in the front row. Kind of maybe got some competitive juices flowing ahead of the combine. So it was cool to see, but I was like, darn it, Dan, stay in private, get a suite, don't put yourself in the public spotlight. But it was cool to see. I look forward to it now when we got Fitzgerald versus Whittingham in football. And now it's going to be a little bit later in 2026. It's going to be in early November. So it's interesting. It's a good rivalry. It's a good win. Now there's another opportunity for Michigan State to go to Ann Arbor and hopefully maybe they even play in the Big Ten tournament, which will be fun. And we'll hopefully be able to watch it on television. But because I know you saw, and it just bothers me. It's just briefly touch on it. But we'll get more information. Look, FanDuel Sports is going bankrupt. It's hard. These TV companies and these entities just don't have enough money to pay for these rights fees. But how it relates to the Tigers, it sucks is we can't even go out there and pay $15 million for Suarez. Whereas the Dodgers get like $400 million from their TV deal. We're like the paupers and can't get nothing because their TV company is going belly up. And they're like, we're just not going to pay. And the Tigers are like, what do you mean? And they're like, we're not paying it. And the payment is missed. And so they're like, you missed the payment, we're out. And so where are the Tigers going to be? Because in 2026, they're going to be on Major League Baseball television. What does that mean? That means the league is running the broadcast. So you think you're going to get some in-depth criticism on a league-owned broadcast? It's going to be even more fluff. So I'm not subscribing to it. I don't have Major League Baseball ticket. I might have MLB Network, but in the end, I'm done. After the Red Wings are done and the Pistons, I'm out. I'm cutting off FanDuel, and I'm going to just enjoy my love of radio and listen to all the games with some popcorn and a beer and use the theater of the imagination. You and I are radio guys. We like the sound of voices, and I listen to a lot of radio. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be honest. I don't even think I've watched a full broadcast start to finish with the volume on in a good 3 years. You just turn it off, you listen to the radio, the Dan Dickerson's a little bit better, and you realize that I'm not interested, there's some funny bits, but I'm not interested in, Johnny Kane talking to the fans, eating ice cream, and waxing poetically about, a pitcher who got a couple outs when the Lions, or when the Tigers lose 9-2. You know what I mean? I'd rather have a little bit more hard-hitting, edgier kind of talk, more realistic. So to me, I'm over it. It sucks because you need now, if you want to watch all the sports, you need like, a couple $1,000s a year. And now you're going to need FanDuel Sports and maybe Major League Baseball TV to be able to get all these broadcasts. To me, I'm out. I'm over it. It's disappointing. It's disgusting. And I just think that in the end, it was actually, we were all like, yeah, streaming is going to be great. 5 years ago, we were like, yeah, it's going to be the new revolution, $30. It was just like anything else. It was a little taste, like the internet. We'll give you internet for a year for $30, but then in the next 3 years, it's going to be $200. And you're like, oh, they're willing to sacrifice the short term so they can jack up the price. And it's disgusting and disturbing. You got to be creative to cancel and then use a 7-day trial to do this and do that. But in the end, it's too much of a hassle. I got what I got, and I'm not getting any more.
Yeah, look, I don't disagree with you at all. You were better than me. You actually paid for FanDuel or Bally's or whatever iteration of it was. Yeah, you paid for it. I chose not to because I thought it was bad programming.
Yep.
I thought it was a horrible app. I thought it was bad. It was bad streaming. I thought altogether, for what they were charging you, the product was just abysmal. And I can listen to the radio. Yeah. I can follow along online with ESPN or Major League Baseball or some other website. There were other ways to keep track of what was going on and pay attention to the game. And so I checked out from that service a long time ago.
Yeah.
More to your point, when you talk about streaming. So I cut the cord a long time ago because I hated Comcast. I then switched to DirecTV, and I was a member of DirecTV forever and a day. And DirecTV had the best customer service. The moment AT&T took over DirecTV, it all went downhill, and I was like, screw this, I'm out. I was one of the people who was part of, I don't know if you remember, PlayStation View. PlayStation had their own streaming network, and it was fantastic. Like you said, it was like $35 a month. You had like over 100 channels. You had all of your local channels, all of your sports channels. You had everything. You even had access to different sporting markets. It was incredible. It was fantastic. And then they just didn't want to deal with the TV networks. And they're like, yeah, so we're not going to do this anymore. I then switched to Sling. Sling kind of sucked because they didn't have access to CBS, and you had Detroit Lions games on CBS at that time. And so that was a hard sell. At some point, I ended up on YouTube TV. And more to your point, YouTube TV was like $45 a month. I got like 110 channels. I was like, this is great. Not a big deal. My YouTube TV bill right now is like $113.
Right.
And I think I get less channels now than I did before. It's unreal. And like, if I'm being completely honest with you, I don't have access to local sports. Like, if it's on ESPN, sure, but like, I don't have Bally's, FanDuel, whatever the hell it's called now. I don't have that. They don't have that. It's not a thing. Thankfully, the NFL has got everything figured out, and they put everything on a local channel, whether it's Fox or CBS or NBC. Or, you know, if it's a Monday night game, it'll be on ESPN, but locally they'll put it on Channel 7 because it's part of the ABC network. But it's unreal kind of where we're at with streaming. Streaming has now become cable. Cable was absolutely atrocious. And now streaming is the equivalent of cable, and it's not great. It's not fun. And the trickle-down effect of this is you look at a team like the Dodgers. They've got a massive television deal, which allows them to go out and just spend crazy money and sign guys. You look at the Detroit Tigers, and you've got an owner like Chris Ilitch who penny pinches, and you can't go get a deal done for Eugenio Suarez, who was $15 million. I checked the books. We talked about this. Last year, they took $15 million, and they just set it on fire. They threw it in a fireplace, and they were like, screw this. We're going to go get Alex Cobb off a couch. Alex Cobb didn't play one inning for the Detroit Tigers. He didn't play a third of an inning. He didn't register one out. He played as much baseball for the Detroit Tigers as you and I did, John, and they gave him $15 million. You couldn't go get Suarez? You couldn't go give him a little bit of money, bring him here, and help add him to this lineup? That's a guy who's a proven hitter. You would have got him for essentially nothing. Nothing. And I think this is more of an indictment. Not so much on FanDuel and the television package that they have worked out with the Detroit Tigers. It's more of an indictment on the Detroit Tigers. Like, FanDuel doesn't even see a value in airing you and keeping you around, right? Like, the Red Wings are still part of it. The Pistons are still part of it. They don't see a value. And like, when your television partner is like, yeah, we're good. Like, we're good. It tells you a little bit about, I think, of how this organization is being ran. I think it's almost a lifting of the skirt, and you're kind of seeing some of the nastiness that's behind the scenes. And look, Tigers are in arbitration with Tarek Skubal. By the time this comes out, we're going to find out that the Tigers have to pay him $32 million. And by the sounds of it, once they have to cut that check and make that payment, they're going to be out on other free agents. And that might have been part of the reason why they didn't go and sign Suarez. But the fact that you didn't hear anything about them being in a discussion with him, the fact that he wasn't brought up as a free agent who could possibly come here, to me, is the bigger issue. I don't know what Scott Harris is doing. You can't keep telling me that the kids are coming, the kids are coming, the kids are coming. We don't want to block the kids. And you're going to roll out the same roster that you've rolled out essentially for the last 2 years. And you get essentially to the same place every single season, which you're not playing for a World Series. You are limping into the playoffs. You have the worst division in baseball. Like, the division in baseball that you play in are like the poorest of the poor. Kansas City doesn't spend money. Minnesota doesn't spend money. Cleveland doesn't spend money. At this point, I'm surprised the Chicago White Sox aren't completely bankrupt. And then it's you. And then there's you. Spend a little money. take advantage of the piss poor division you're in, get into the playoffs, win your division, win a pennant, and then go and try to make some noise. Instead, they want to do everything on the cheap. They want to tell you that the kids are coming, the kids are coming, the kids are coming. Hey, guess what? I was coming, and guess what? I've got a kid coming now. So, hey, good for me. It's essentially the same thing. I'm telling you right now, neither one of us are winning a World Series. So what the hell? I don't know. I'm frustrated, man. I think the FanDuel deal is very representative of what the Tigers are at this moment in time. And it's a team that doesn't want to spend money. And it's a team that is looking to you, the fan, and saying, help us, we're poor. We're going to give you this B- product, but you've got to pay top dollar for it. And FanDuel was kind of like, yeah, we don't even want to air your games. So we're good.
That's it. We're good.
And it's what it is, man.
But it's going to be interesting, too, because with FanDuel, you get the Pistons and Red Wings, and now it's that time where they have a chance to potentially upgrade their roster. So let's start with the Red Wings because they just played last. They played on Tuesday, and it was a great game. Started at 9, and right away, 30 seconds in, you get a goal. So that sets the tone, and Gibson played great. And that was coming on the heels of a little bit of angst over the week. It was not the best week for the Red Wings as they kind of struggled a little bit, and the Colorado came to town and put it to you. And so many people were like, oh, man, it kind of shows you maybe that you're not the best of the best, which is clear. Colorado is elite. Now, they were down, to put it into context, they were down a couple guys, a couple key guys. But, hey, hell, the Red Wings are also dealing with an injury to, I think, Simon Edvinsson has been dealing with something, and he hasn't been there. So, listen, every team deals with stuff. You got to go out there and perform. And it was a good 2-0 win, get the points. Now, you think you play one more time before a month break. It's clear that maybe this break is not going to be the best thing for the Red Wings, but it's going to help because you have an opportunity to get guys right, get guys healthy, maybe back for the stretch. But I do think that the one thing that I'm very happy with, Cuz, is that when you look at the Red Wings, I think they've done enough to show Steve Yzerman, like, help us out, get us one more defenseman, but the numbers dictate this. It's tough because I would think that minimally, cuz they need 2 guys. They have an awful 5-on-5 scoring record. It's terrible. Their goal differential is very much close to even, where other top teams are like plus 15, which means that the Red Wings are scoring about as much as they're giving up, which is never really the great thing to look at when you're in a playoff series, when you're about to get into the nitty-gritty of crunch time. So I do think that, listen, it's time. I'm not saying blockbuster, but I think the Wings have done enough, cuz, to show that Steve Yzerman, add a defenseman, add another proven scorer that can put the puck in and maybe facilitate a little bit, another center, and maybe help out to kick Kopp down a line to maybe smooth things out a little bit, maybe have him go up against some lighter competition. But I'm happy with the Red Wings. They're in it, and there's always a little bit of something because just when they give you a little bit of reason to hope, they fall back and get dominated by the good opponent. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed. But what's your confidence level, and what do the Red Wings need to potentially secure and give everybody a little bit more confidence that they make the postseason?
I think you've hit the nail on the head, right? I don't necessarily think goaltending is a monster issue for this team right now, right? I think what you need and what can help benefit that goaltending is a better defenseman.
Yeah.
Again, a top 4 defenseman on this team all of a sudden makes the goaltending look that much better. And especially if he can score, I don't need that guy to be a top scoring defenseman, but I do need him to deposit the puck in the net or at least help generate some offense. That would be ideal. But more importantly, what I think they need is they do need that top 4, top 6 forward. Like, they need to score points. They need offense. I think you're seeing it. Dylan Larkin we talk about it all the time. He's good enough. DeBrincat's good enough. Lucas Raymond, I think he was a guy that we all looked to and we were like, hey, he's going to be the second coming. He's going to be incredible. He's good. He's not incredible. Marco Casper, I still think he's trying to figure it out, and maybe he's playing with some training wheels. Patrick Kane is damn near in a wheelchair. Like, his ice skates come with a wheelchair and an oxygen tank on it, and he's doing a fine enough job. But you need somebody who can help take over a game. You need a guy who can put the puck in the net, who can pick it up in the neutral zone and help create and develop a play to put the puck behind the goaltender. So I think scoring is number one. Steve Yzerman has to go out, make a move for a forward who can deposit the puck in the net regularly. And then if you've got assets left over, go get a defenseman who has the ability to score, but more importantly, is shut down, is another lockdown guy, because all of a sudden that makes your goaltending look good. And if you can get a goaltender hot in the playoffs, you're a dangerous team. This team, as a core, they are good and they're in a good spot. I still don't think they are a Stanley Cup winning team right now. I do think they are very much in position to make some noise in the playoffs, but they are at least two pieces away from being really, really dangerous in the playoffs. Getting a win over Colorado, who, look, when the game on Saturday took place, I was like, this will be fun. We'll see what the Red Wings actually are. We'll see how good they really are. And then they went out and they got shellacked 5-0. To then bounce back and win that game 2-0, I think is a big deal. I think it shows a team that, look, yeah, we took the paddle to our ass. We're able to bounce back, go on the road, and get a win. We'll see how they respond when they take on Utah. We're recording this a little bit early, but I think my bigger concern is these guys are heading into an Olympic break where they're about to get 3.5 weeks off. Do you think that comes at a good time, or does it kind of upset some of the momentum this team might have? I feel like they've been a little up and down the stretch. I think the time off could be a good thing for them to get healthy. They don't have a ton of guys going to the Olympics. They've got a few, but they don't have a ton. And I think it could help the goaltending situation. It could help some of the defensemen and some of the lesser forwards kind of rest, recoup, and as long as they can come back and get skating a little bit before they jump back into regular season play, I think the break comes at a really, really good time. What do you think?
Yeah, I think with injuries, you realize there's a lot of guys banged up, and I think in a radio interview, McClellan said that even for him, he's a little bit, at the point where, coaches are a little bit burnt out. You're spending a lot of time in front of a computer watching and analyzing, and, he's got to craft his speech every time they lose to call out the team. Listen, I don't know, but I like the idea of Todd McClellan calling out the team and just calling out their effort. Right. And I think that the team responds to it like, okay, whereas others, they have kind of tuned them out. So I'm happy with that I think McClellan has kind of stabilized things. And for everybody to get a refresher, I think will be a good thing. And we'll see how they respond to the month off. But basically after this week, there will be no NHL hockey and a couple guys will get a rest. But listen, here's the thing that you got to pay attention to. Guys like Dylan Larkin, when they were involved in the tournament last year, the 4-something tournament, whatever that took place.
Four Nations Cup, man.
Four Nations Cup. Yeah, he came back injured, and he was never the same. And it was like, he put himself on the national map, but it cost him the rest of the season. True. So I just got to watch the Olympics carefully and see what's going to happen with the Red Wings. So we shall see, but just please, Steve Yzerman, upgrade the team. I think it's time. They've done enough, and I think the team, and I'm glad that McClellan, when he was asked directly on the radio, he said, we've done enough to buy. Same thing with the Pistons, but I take a little different stance because to me, I was asked, and people will say, well, what do you think about the Pistons? Do you need to add? And I say, you know what? Look, it's year 2. And this team last year got to the playoffs. They fought a hard-fought contest against the Knicks, and you had an opportunity to now grow, and they've gotten better. So they've done quite well to the point where you could say, well, is it to the point where they're better than a Shea Gillis and Oklahoma City? Maybe if you make a blockbuster move. But I think an organization at times also deserves, when it's still early, to show where maybe you need. And I think most people will assume, okay, you need a superstar scorer because Cade will get wore out in the postseason because they're going to have to utilize him quite a bit. But to me, asking prices are high at the deadline. I know you're hearing names like Markkanen and Miles Bridges and a lot of these names that have really good players. I'm really Michael Porter Jr. Really good names, but it's going to cost you draft picks. It's going to cost you players, and a lot of players. Like you're talking about potentially a Jalen Duren or a Tobias Harris or Holland, and you realize, okay, you know what? let's just see what they can do. I think that they can make a run because, and here's the tough part. It's a delicate balance because I think they can get through the East with what they have. I don't think that they can win a championship with the team that they have, but I kind of want to see it. You know what I mean? It's like one of those deals where, all right, it's year two, and I also understand the other side too, because where you say, well, it might not be as easy as it is ever now this year, but it's going to cost so much. So I'm of the opinion that I don't think they make a move, maybe a small one. Like I think the name you're hearing is like a Luke Kennard. You do need a score. I don't think they make a blockbuster. They might make a small move like they did last year. But I want to see what they bring to the table. They're fun to watch. They're energetic. They're gritty. They bounce back. They play good defense. They do a lot of the things that you like as a team. And you're like, you know what? Who's to say they don't get on a run in the postseason and go crazy? So I'm very curious. What are your thoughts on the Pistons? Because if it's, it's one of those deals where maybe their timeline got put in a different spot because there's some injuries to the East. And it looks like because the Pistons as is are the best team in the East. But I think where everybody sits is, well, I don't think that they're going to compete with the best team in the West. Why not take a chance this year and maybe you might even fall into a championship?
Yeah, look, I think the Pistons are, at this moment in time, they're the team that is closest to winning a championship. When you look at the Detroit landscape, I already said I think the Red Wings can get to the playoffs, but I don't feel like they're a Super Bowl or a Stanley Cup contender. We've hashed out the Lions issues, right? And this feels like it's going to be a off season where they've got to hit the reset button on a lot of things. And if they're going to get to that Super Bowl, they've got to try to do things on the fly. And I think it could take up to 2 years to get back to that level. Tigers, they don't want to spend any money. They want to wait for the kids. So we're just kind of in a holding pattern there. Maybe they back into another playoff run and they're out after the first round, maybe second round. Who knows? But the Pistons legitimately feel like they could be playing in the NBA Finals. They are able to score. They play really good defense. They are a headache every single night they take the floor, which is why I feel like they've got to move all in. You've already talked about how the East has set up just due to injuries, right? Boston, hamstrung. Pacers, hamstrung. Giannis wants out of Milwaukee, and that seems like that's been a little bit of a nightmare. All the teams that you've already been able to take on the Knicks, and they were a headache for you last year. I think you're better than them right now. So you, at this moment in time, have assumed that first spot in the East, and you are the team that everybody has to go through, which is why I think it's imperative that you make some type of move. Bleacher Report, I'm looking for the article. I can't find the article right now. Bleacher Report had a recent article where they talked about trading for Markkanen and Svi Mihailovic. And you would have to give up Tobias, you'd have to give up Jaden Ivey, you'd have to give up Karis LeVert, and I think like three first round draft picks. Bro, take those draft picks. Take all the draft picks. The NBA draft is just weird. If you're not drafting in the top 5, and you could even go the top 3, it's a complete crapshoot what you're going to get. And if the Pistons are going to be this good, and you're going to get a player that's going to be on your roster for the next 4 seasons, you're going to be drafting low anyways. You're going to be one of those teams that is in constant contention for an NBA championship. Those draft picks don't even matter. I would give up all of the draft picks for the next 7 years to go get a guy. I don't care. I feel like they need secondary scoring. They need a guy to help space and stretch the floor, and a guy who can take some of that load off of Cade. You look at this team, right? It's really Cade, and it's a bunch of other guys who do their job. They do their role. You don't really have a secondary scorer. You were hoping that Jaden Ivey would be that guy. He's not. I don't know what he's going to be. I don't know how you unlock whatever he is supposed to be. He's not come back from his injury the way you had hoped. At this moment in time, I don't know what his role is on this team. You could maybe send him off to somebody else who sees potential in him and is maybe able to unlock that. I'm willing to give up on that project to go get a guy that I know can give me 20 points a night, pick me up 7-8 rebounds, and can play some decent defense. I need somebody else to help Cade out. If Cade gets shut down, who else is scoring on this team? Is it Duren? Because I don't think it's Duren. Is it Ron Holland? Is it Asur? Like, those guys, they have roles, and it's mostly on the defensive side. And they can put a basket in here and there, but those guys aren't really scorers. Like Duncan Robinson, you're going to count on Duncan Robinson in the playoffs? His defense is abysmal, to say the least. You need a guy who can go out there and help alleviate some of that pressure from Cade, help take over a game. That's why the trade for Portis is kind of interesting. Again, this is a guy who can score almost seemingly at will, and you put him with Cade. All of a sudden, that's a really tantalizing look at five guys on a court who can get the job done. I feel like the Pistons have to go all in here. They have to make a blockbuster trade. They've got to go get somebody. And the draft picks for me aren't a problem. I'll give you all the draft picks you want, because the NBA draft is freaking weird, man. It is, like I said, unless you're in the top 2, 3, maybe top 5 if it's a deep draft that year, it's all a crapshoot. It really is. So if you're drafting somewhere in the late 20s, who cares? You know, there's a good chance that guy's going to be playing in the G League or whatever their developmental league is now. So I think they have to go all in. They have to make a trade.
Okay. And then do you think, just before we talk about the Super Bowl, do you think Jaden Ivey is going to have a career in Detroit, or he feels like there's something off? I don't know if he kind of doesn't like his name being in trade talks. It just always seems like that his body language has been a little bit off, but you see that, you know, he's a guy that, you know, missed some time. The chemistry with the team was kind of established without him, but he did kind of start to pick things up on social media, picture with his mom, getting back into it. They say he's kind of a quiet guy, but he's always looking miserable. But listen, that's here nor there to me. I don't really care, but it seems like he's kind of peaked at like 10 points a game. It's a situation in which it might not be the best fit here in Detroit, because of the fact that he knows he's not going to be the top dog. He knows that, okay, this team is going to be spread out offensively. I don't know if his future is going to be here, if the Pistons are going to potentially take that opportunity. I would think the additional scorer would be Ivy, but at the same time, there's others as well that are getting looks. Dennis has been great. Duncan Robinson's really getting the love. So, but Dennis is interesting in that he declined to take a deal to potentially maybe give himself a chance to because his number of allotted games that he can play is going to be up. So that's going to be something to monitor, because he can kind of light it up when he gets hot. So I'm curious, do you think Jaden Ivey's got a future with Detroit? It kind of feels like that he knows maybe it's not, but he wants to be a team player and figure out what his role is going to be and be a pro right now. But something seems amiss, but I'm curious if maybe they package him, Jaden Ivey, Tobias Harris, and maybe a first. Maybe you can get, if you can wait out the deadline, maybe you can get a player like a Michael Porter, but we shall see what ends up happening. But it just feels like something's off with Ivey.
Yeah, look, I don't see him having a future here. I feel like he plays out this string. I feel like he is, if they're going to get a trade done, it's going to be him and Tobias. Those are going to be the two pieces that are sent the other way. And then it'll be whatever else you need to do to either offset salaries or whatever else it's going to take to get the job done, whether it's a ton of draft picks or whether it's a guy like Karis LeVert who will end up going. So I don't think he has a future here. I don't see him having a future here. It just, I don't know, man. Like, he was supposed to be a really good player. Injuries have kind of derailed some of that, and he's just not really come back. And like you said, the team figured out how to win. The team moved on.
Right.
And like, I don't know if he's having trouble maybe fitting in and understanding where his role is, or maybe he just doesn't like his role as a guy coming off the bench. But like, his shooting is streaky. The guy will get hot, and he'll look like he's figured it all out, and then he'll have days where he can't hit the broadside of a barn. He can throw a beach ball into the ocean, and it's like, okay, well, I don't know I don't know how much trust to give you here, and I don't know how to count on you when we have these dramatic swings. I don't know what you're going to be from day to day. So that's why I say I feel like he's part of a trade package for somebody who feels like they can unlock him, or they're looking for an expiring contract to do something else in free agency. But no, I don't think he has a future here at all.
Understood. Now, this Sunday is the day. It's going to be here. Now you're seeing all the media hijinks and hilarity. Some fun questions that were asked. Somebody asked one of the players to tell us the dish that that you secretly hate from your wife. They asked some silly questions like, the standard, hey, would you give up an appendage to win a Super Bowl? I like is this a must-win game, coach, or a can't-lose game? So there's silliness. It's always fun with the Super Bowl. There's a lot more entertainment. It's a content creator's dream. But bottom line, Adam and I are all about the turkey, all about the meat, and it's a game between two defenses. This might not be the most entertaining game. I hope there's at least some drama to it. I just think that the best team is the Seahawks. They got the best running back in Kenneth Walker. I think they got the best wide receiver in the game in Jackson Smith and Jigba. And I think that when you look at it top to bottom, I think that eventually you have to kind of think that the Patriots and their lack of real competition this year is gonna be met with facing a real solid NFC team that I think is just complete. They got everything. They got everything that you want. They got pressure from the defensive line. They got a quarterback playing well. Now, the one thing that you can do if you're the Patriots is you rattle the hell out of Darnold. If you make Sam Darnold see ghosts and he gives you a couple footballs, now you got a chance. So I could see this being back and forth, but I'm like everybody else, chalk. I see the Seahawks winning this game. It might be close, like 21-17. I do think it's going to be a running kind of style game. It's going to be not sexy, nothing great. I think that this is kind of one of those games, cause you just drink a lot and just kind of go, oh, they're playing ball. Oh, what kind of dumbass commercial are we going to watch this year? Oh, wait, what kind of stupid message from these religious groups is going to be put there on my screen? But listen, we always got to say we're not going to knock religion, but, there's always some weird commercial that's airing these days that's like, yes, I know God needs to save us all. And we'll see if there's anything weird that shows up on the commercials. I haven't been really thrilled with the commercials. It's really all about complaining about the commercials and how bad they are. So check at Detroit Podcast. So our standard bit is we'll just put the name of the commercial, thumbs up, thumbs down. And if you like it, great. If you don't, weigh in. It'll be fun. But I look at it like, okay, I am not as thrilled with this level of competition with the teams. I would have maybe liked the Rams to kind of be in there. I feel like the Rams and the Broncos would have been sweet if Bo Nix would have stayed healthy. But the one thing I'll say in regards to it, it's clear, right, that the two teams that are in the Super Bowl that are playing, guess what? The Lions got to figure out, oh, they have a defense. And, oh, like Carlton Davis told the papers, oh, healthy teams tend to win and advance in the playoffs. So if the Lions can figure out a way to stay healthy and they can build a defense that can be a top 10 scoring defense, then you now have a chance to potentially advance. So it's going to be interesting to see how the game plays out, but I see it as a Seahawks win. I like Mike McDonald, and I like the fact that, this is a coach that, even though he was, affiliated with Michigan, he's paved the way to do what he's got to do. And he figured out how to build a nice football team that's gritty, and also, picked up some good players and a really good defense that I think is going to be opportunistic.
Yeah, I think I'm not excited for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right? Like this Super Bowl is, I don't know, man. I look at the Patriots, and that team has gotten to this point essentially on the backs of their defense and on the back of a schedule and a playoff schedule that set up perfectly for them. Drake May has showed me nothing in these playoffs. Like, I don't think he's the second coming of the quarterback. I don't think he's the guy that they're going to end up building a dynasty around right now. Yes, I get it. Second year, he's a young player. This is great that he gets this experience. I understand all of that. Okay. But what I've seen on the field is he's more of a liability than he is an asset to this team. That defense is the reason that they're there. And the fact that they had to go up against a Broncos team that was less Bo Nix, the fact that they've had a schedule that has essentially fallen their way the entire way has put them in this driver's seat to where they are now on the Super Bowl. All that being said, you look at Seattle, Seattle's got a nasty defense, and Darnold is playing out of his mind right now. You've already touched on Kenneth Walker and Jackson Smith and Jigba. Those dudes are beasts
Ballers
at their positions. So for me, it feels like this is Seattle's game to lose. Like Seattle should go in there and just take advantage of the Patriots. On top of all that, the storyline I'm most looking forward to is I want to see Sam Darnold win a Super Bowl. Like, I feel like that is one of the best stories. You go back, there were 5 quarterbacks drafted in the draft that he was taken. I think it was Baker, it was himself, Lamar was in that draft. Man, there were 2 other guys I can't remember. But like there were 5 quarterbacks in that draft who were all supposed to be studs. We're all supposed to be that dude. And he's the only one who's playing for a Super Bowl. He's the only one who's gotten there. Everybody wants to hype Lamar. Lamar can't figure his way out of the playoffs. You've got Sam Darnold playing for a Super Bowl right now. I think it'd be a fantastic story, especially you want to try to tie something in locally. You go with the NFC North and you go with Minnesota. Minnesota's like, no, we're good. We'll see you later. And they let him walk, and he goes to Seattle, and he plays out of his mind football, some of the best football of his career, and now he's here.
The two,
because Minnesota could get out of their own way. They end up firing their general manager.
Yeah, the 2 quarterbacks were Josh Allen and Josh Rosen.
That's who. Oh, there you go. And so, like, Josh Allen, obviously a stud, but he hasn't played for a Super Bowl. And Josh Rosen was very short-term in the league because of a lot of things. But to me, he's the story.
Yeah.
That is the thing that I'm watching. I want to see how Sam Darnold plays in this game. And if I'm Sam Darnold, it honestly, you should be going out there with nothing to lose. Just go play your game. Your defense is going to keep you in it because the quarterback on the other side just isn't good enough right now. And to me, if you want to kind of tie this into something that's a Detroit aspect of it all, I think the one thing that Brad Holmes, maybe Dan Campbell, maybe this organization needs to take out of it is you need to build that defense. You have to add some pieces to that defense, because the reason that both of these teams are standing here right now, as much as I just glossed up Sam Darnold, it's because of that Seattle defense, and it's because of that Patriot defense. Those defenses are gigantic erasers when things go sideways and when things go wrong. You need to figure out a way to build that defense, and you need to figure out a way to pressure quarterbacks. You watch the Patriots play, all they do is get to the quarterback. And you just speed up the quarterback. Next thing you know, you're turning the ball over, or you're getting the ball back at least. And very similarly for Seattle, is speed up the quarterback. Put pressure on him. Make him turn the ball over. So, look, I'm not excited about the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be a very lame Super Bowl. I don't think it's going to be fantastic at all. I'm watching for Sam Darnold. I hope that the Lions and general manager Brad Holmes are taking notes, and they're saying, hey, we have to build a defense to be able to get to the quarterback and turn the ball over, because that's what gets you in the position to possibly win a championship. That is absolutely what does it. Your offense, as good as it is, it can get you so far, and it can help you win a couple of football games and help you win actually a lot of football games, possibly 15. But there are times when things are going to go sideways, and your quarterback's going to turn the ball over 4 and 5 times. You need a defense who can help ease some of that pressure off the quarterback and help erase some of those mistakes and keep you in a football game. And the Detroit Lions right now, their defense is not good enough.
Exactly, and that's what it needs to be. You got to focus on the defense. You got to figure out how to keep the athletes that you draft and develop and sign in free agency healthy, and figure out how to be one of those teams that's lucky enough to have one of the healthiest groups going through the postseason. So it'll be interesting to see as this game progresses what ends up happening. There's going to be hopefully a couple of cool marquee moments, and let's see what these commercials are about, see how bad. It's a national display of how bad marketing is in this country, because a lot of the ideas that are pitched are just, quite frankly, god awful. And I look forward to messaging you guys in the group chat like, who the hell thought of this stupid idea? Listen, we don't need people riding on ponies to tell us about how to eat and make great pizza. So let's figure it out and deliver it. Typically, the beer commercials are good. The ones that are most interesting tend to be potentially, food related or company related. So let's see who makes a splash this year. Follow Adam on X at AdamRSTROZ. Follow us at Detroit Podcast. We'll be posting and tweeting all through the Super Bowl. And again, it's going to be a fun time to explore and pick apart what the winners do because that way it'll lead to kind of a little discussion as to what the Detroit Lions can accomplish. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Another great podcast episode. Thanks for all your support. Anywhere that you find and listen to your favorite audio content, just type in Detroit Sports Podcast and our content will find you. Can't wait to fire it up next week for the next episode of Doc and Jock, featured on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
You fucking podcasters. I said don't let them in here.